Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you details as to how I was able to get pregnant. Someone commented in my last video and they were just like, oh please, we all know how a baby is made. And that's not what I mean. I don't mean the biological way that I made the baby. Like, that's not what I mean. I actually am gonna share a strategy with you that could help you to get pregnant the first time you try. I can vouch for this because I've recommended this to other people and it has worked for them like the first time. I must say also, I'm not a fertility specialist. I'm just going to be talking about what worked for me and what could possibly work for you. So take this with a grain of salt, and of course you can do your own research because I'm not a doctor, okay? First, I'm going to tell you about the things that I did in order to prepare myself for pregnancy, and then I'm going to be sharing one thing that I feel like could change literally every woman's pregnancy game. And it's something that almost every woman is getting wrong who isn't getting pregnant right now. I mean, of course, I know there are women who struggle with infertility, and my intention is not to make anyone feel bad from watching this video. So please don't take anything personally and just enjoy this video. If there's anything that you did in order to help on your pregnancy journey, leave those in the comments down below. And if you have any questions, of course, you can leave those in the comments as well. Everything I talk about here is going to be linked in my description box down below. So first things first, supplementation. There are a lot of things that can increase your egg quality and make it more likely for you to get pregnant. Supplements are one of those things. The supplements that I took were CoQ10, so that's coenzyme Q10, vitamin D3. I took prenatals before I even got pregnant. But those are vitamins that doctors do tend to recommend when it comes to creating the best possible chances of like a healthy egg. Another thing that I did from a natural standpoint is to drink red raspberry leaf tea. And I did that twice every day for an entire month. I got the loose leaf red raspberry herb and I made a tea with that, which I drank in the morning and in the night, because red raspberry leaf tea does increase your fertility and it also aids in pregnancy. Something that's extremely important is to take prenatals before you actually start even thinking about getting pregnant, because you're pretty much just preparing your body, you get me? And if you can also take like a folic acid supplement, then that would be great, even though most prenatals tend to have folic acid already. So the biggest thing that helped me was tracking my ovulation. I tracked my ovulation, and the first time I did this, I got pregnant. And I watched a lot of other YouTube videos that attested to the same thing. And I recommended this to another one of my friends, and she got pregnant the first time she tried this as well. So trust me, like, this is the holy grail. This is making women all over the world get pregnant. Because the thing about it is, you might think that your ovulation day is on this day, when actually it's way before that or way after that. So you're shooting blanks, like you're there going and going and going and nothing is connecting, and nothing is connecting because there's nothing for it to connect with. Every woman's body is different. So I might ovulate on a specific day and you ovulate on a totally different day. And most women are here judging their own bodies based on what this entire scientific body says that probably just did this test millennia ago on one small subset of women. Testing your ovulation gives you the ability and the opportunity to know your body more. So even if you're not trying to get pregnant, if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, this is something that can also come in handy for you. In order to track your ovulation, you want to get yourself an ovulation kit. The one that I used is called Easy at Home, and it comes with an app called Premom. So I'm going to link that in the description box down below, of course, and you can check that out. But this kit comes with a number of ovulation strips and pregnancy test strips. So you don't even have to buy pregnancy tests otherwise. They're actually very accurate. As soon as your period ends, you're gonna start peeing in that cup every day and testing your ovulation with those strips. And what's going to happen is that you're going to get 2 lines on it every single time. Whenever one of the lines is darker than the other, that's when you know that you're peaking. The greatest thing is that the Easy at Home kit comes with an app called Premom. And this Premom app actually reads the test strips for you. So when you dip it in the pee, you're gonna let it stay for a certain amount of time and you're gonna see the reading come up. As soon as the reading comes up, you're gonna hold it up to a nice well-lit background and you're going to use the Premom app on your phone to scan it. That app is going to tell you the level that your luteinizing hormone is at, and that would be stored in the app. So that way you'll have a record. But being the nerd I am, I went ahead and I pasted mine inside a book, and then I wrote the number beside it, and I wrote whether it was low or high. The app will tell you if it's low or high. Another thing I did was to write down the time that I actually did all of this. And I also wrote down the date and I wrote down the day of my cycle. So I started testing on cycle day 6. You pretty much just do that every single day. Do that every single day, and one day you're going to find that your number is like 1 point something. So your numbers are going to go up gradually. This was mine. It was 0.48, 0.64, 0.66, 0.38, 0.45, 0.66, 0.62, 0.87, then all the way to 1.26, 1.2, then 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.4, and then 0.4 again. And that's before I got my positive. So I actually had my LH surge on day 14 of my cycle. That was a week or a little bit more than a week after my period ended. You're going to find that your numbers gradually go up until eventually you get the highest possible number. So that's usually 1 point something. And once you get that number, that is your indication to do the baby dance. So baby dance is, that's the biological part that we're talking about, okay? So once you get to that surge, you want to baby dance as much as possible. So if you find out in the morning and you can do it in the morning, do it in the morning, do it in the night, do it the day after, and probably the evening after that too. Because the more chances you baby dance or the more chances you take or the more targets you shoot is the greater your likelihood of actually catching the goal and getting what you want. After that, you want to still keep on testing to make sure that your LH level goes down. LH stands for luteinizing hormone, and that has a lot to do with fertility. You can Google that some more because, like I said, I'm not a fertility specialist. I'm just talking about what worked for me and what I learned from the app and this entire experience. Sometimes you can have 2 LH surges, and that's the reason why they recommend that you keep on testing. So if you happen to have 2 LH surges, then you'll also baby dance during the second LH surge. But usually it's gonna just go down, and once it goes down, this is where it's after your ovulation. So that's where the term DPO comes in. So like days past ovulation. Okay, so I found out I was pregnant on the 29th of February. So that's 12 days past ovulation. So I had a slightly faint line. It wasn't very faint. It was very obvious, but it still wasn't all that dark. And if you want to see me talk about my pregnancy experience and when I found out I was pregnant, you can watch this video right here. So that was 12 DPO. And you can usually start testing like 9 DPO. I know people who actually got positive tests 6 days past ovulation. So it's really up to you. Like I would say give yourself at least a week. And sometimes you can also just check to see if you're starting to feel any symptoms. My symptoms were lower belly cramps, back pain, extreme tiredness, and very large breasts. Okay, check to see if you start to feel any of those things, then you can test, but you can always test before that. And if you happen to get a negative, test again in a couple of days. If you keep on testing and you find that it's still negative, then maybe you're just not pregnant and you can try again next month. But I waited again until 20 days past ovulation and I did another test. And this test was a dye stealer. I think that's what they call it. So a dye stealer is pretty much when your control line, or your test line, I should say, comes up darker than your control line. And this was darker. To this day, it's still darker. It's still darker. And honestly, this was a very fun experience for me doing this. It felt like scrapbooking and it felt like setting intentions for what I want. I'm not even surprised that I got what I wanted. And I'm not saying that you have to do this in order to get pregnant. You can always just do the tests and just record them in the app, and that will suffice. You don't have to do all of this book stuff, but I'm a nerd, I'm a bookworm, so I did it, and I want to have this as a keepsake that I could be able to, show you guys and just be like, hey, because I knew I was going to do a video like this, given that everything worked out the way I wanted it to. My biggest advice for this entire journey is to have fun and to not make it too overwhelming for yourself. If it doesn't work this month, then you can try again next month. If it doesn't work next month, then you can try again the following month. I know it can be frustrating after quite some time, but just understand also that every baby comes into this world when they're ready. I think nothing comes before its time. Babies choose when they're ready to come into this world. They choose the month they want to be born. They choose the zodiac sign they want to have. They choose the parents they want to have. And sometimes we might make it harder on ourselves than we need to, simply because we're trying to force an outcome. Don't make somebody else getting pregnant deter you. Tell yourself instead, you know what? I'm next. And even if I'm not next, I'll be in line. Like, I'm in line soon and very soon.